But what do the Colts need to do now without their sack leader and a guy who could have played and could have won Defensive Player of the Year last season?
Well, really, I think Bjorn Werner needs to take a step forward. He's going to be the guy that's going to have to, at least as we sit here today, he's the guy who steps in there and has to take those snaps in the first 4 games. And the first 2 games, by the way, are so critical at Denver and then the Philadelphia Eagles coming here to Indianapolis. You're talking about 2 teams with very potent offenses. So you have to have a pass rush. And I don't think we saw nearly consistent enough pass rush last year outside of Robert Mathis. So it's going to be up to guys like that. You know, can they get something out of some younger guys, for example, like Newsome, the rookie out of Ball State? They're going to have to find some other sources to get some pass rush, and they'll probably have to throw in some timely blitzes, but there are also risks involved with those.
And we also know the Colts' major pickup of the offseason, one of their biggest free agents. We knew they needed help at the wide receiver position. Where does he fit in, the veteran?
Well, I think they have successfully turned that position into a strength, wide receiver. And we saw last year what a weakness it became after Reggie Wayne goes down. So here you have a veteran guy who comes in and can, I think, really raise the level of play among guys like T.Y. Hilton and Reggie Wayne, who's coming off a very serious injury. So I like that move. I think you have a more proven guy than you did with Darius Hayward-Bay, who was sort of in this role last year as the free agent pickup at receiver. I like this pickup a lot better than that move. I think Hakeem Nicks, in fact, with the improved quarterback play that he'll have here versus Eli Manning in New York, let's be honest, had a bad year last year. I think the arrow's pointed up for Hakeem.
A few weeks back.
Yes, they are certainly a more confident team, Lindsay. There's no question. And I think what you're seeing is also a sounder team. This is a team they recorded the fewest penalties and fewest turnovers in the NFL this year. The first team in 11 seasons to do that, to pull off that feat in both categories. And I think what you also have seen the last few weeks is accountability. Robert Mathis, their great pass rusher, talked this week about a team meeting, how the leadership of this team called together this club after losses to the Rams and Cardinals in blowout fashion to really galvanize guys and talk about accountability and doing your part to really help turn things around. And guys took it upon themselves, and I think we've seen a lot of guys in the last few weeks come out of the funk they were in and really end the season on a strong note going into the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like despite the fact that they've been playing well lately, they're kind of an under-the-radar team heading into the postseason. Do they feel like they're primed to make a run?
Well, I think so. There are a lot of guys on this team who remember that taste in their mouth last year at Baltimore, the way they lost that game. And I do believe that they're going to sort of call upon those feelings as they move forward in this playoffs. And they have a lot of confidence, as I said. The quarterback, Andrew Luck, is playing well. He's at the top of his game right now. The defense really has seen a resurgence, averaging or allowing fewer than 7 points per game in the final 3 games. So this is certainly a team that is on the upswing going into the playoffs. They feel like they can get it done, and they beat this Kansas City Chiefs team 2 weeks ago.
Certainly worth noting. Stephen Holder, thank you very much, the Indianapolis Star.
At all? I mean, are they kind of just saying, forget about let's stop talking?
Yeah, and you know what? I will point out that something that I think is very important for the Colts, for most of the guys here, this is just another football game. Most of these young players here didn't play with Peyton Manning, at least for any length of time. So there's not really a whole lot of sentiment for them. There's not a whole lot of emotion invested here. This is just them playing against a really good opponent. But, yeah, I know if they've been reading our paper this week and reading any of the coverage, yeah, they're sick of it. They want to play this game. They want to get last week's taste out of their mouth. They played very poorly in San Diego. So the answer to your question is unequivocally yes.
In the locker room and says to his team in private, how does that play there locally, him going on Twitter and saying what he just said?
Well, he's really echoing what a lot of people are saying here in Indianapolis. So it's not really anything outlandish that he's saying. I think the reason it's drawing attention, for obvious reasons, is because he is the owner. But everything he's saying, he certainly has a right to say it, and it's certainly understandable why he's saying it, because this team has been frustratingly inconsistent lately. And I think a lot of people are scratching their heads and looking for answers as to what is going on.
Yeah, Irsay says he doesn't want excuses or explanations. I, however, would be interested in the latter, because I feel like that's the only way that this changes, right? I mean, you can't turn around the first half woes unless you know why they're there to start off with, which I guess brings me to my question for you. Do they know why? Do they know what the issues are?
You know, I have rarely seen a more befuddled group than I saw on Sunday in that locker room. There just were not a lot of answers, and that's not a new thing. But that was they sunk to some new depths, I think, on Sunday, and so I think a lot of players did a lot of soul searching. But look, this does, in some respects, go back to injuries. They've suffered a number of them on the offensive side. The problem now is someone has to step up. They have to find a way to get through this. They need players to make plays and find a way to get this thing back on track. Right now, they have lost their way, and that's what Jim Irsay is talking about.
So what's the bottom line here? Who's that guy that needs to step up? What needs to stay in this race?
I'm going to say it's one guy, and it's not going to be a shocker. Andrew Luck has to be the guy team out of the abyss and get this team back on track. He's got the ability. He is their best player, and it's not close. He's got to be the guy that gets this thing going in the right direction. This is an opportunity down the stretch for him to have a defining moment. He's so young and he's so inexperienced, but he's so good. And this is really his opportunity, I think, to really define himself as a great player in this league.
Wrap up the division this weekend, Stephen.
I think for all intents purposes, that's exactly what it is, Lindsay. I mean, you're talking about a situation where with a win, the Colts would go 3 games up with 6 games to play. That, in this league, is a pretty insurmountable lead, especially given the way the Titans have played so inconsistently this year. The fact that they have lost Jake Locker for the season. I think the Colts would really put themselves in a position where they would be playing beyond that for seeding. And keep in mind, however, that they play the Titans twice in 3 games, so they really have an opportunity to shut that door and really nail it shut.